Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast that's about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Candy, and with me today is Kent.
Hello.
Courtney.
Hi.
Matt.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello.
They let you back in the country, man. That's awesome.
I'm back, and
They
you
let
know
him
what?
back
There's
in.
not room for Adam and I, so I told him to get out. So he's leaving the country, and I'm back, and I
You
can
gotta,
be gone
get some
again.
better lighting so we can see the haircut.
No, it's on purpose.
I'm jealous of you guys having living that jet set life out of the country. Soon will be my day.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
it
it's
will.
going up.
Yeah, it's coming up
Yes, it
fast.
Coming up super soon.
Yeah, you've got a honeymoon coming up.
Yeah. In October. But yeah. But I don't think I'm going to wear a kilt in Japan, so.
Man, that'd be so cool though if you did. Just imagine you just walking around, they'd be like, they'd give you those looks like, what are you doing?
I'm pretty sure they're gonna give me looks anyway. I'm a pretty crazy looking dude, I think, especially when
Nah,
it
you
comes to
probably fit in
Japanese
pretty well
culture.
with it.
I'll look like I
In
walked
some
straight out of a
circles, yeah.
manga.
I was gonna say you might look like a anime character.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. Well, today we're going to be talking about games from Gen Con that we're excited about and games we've been playing. And I guess a couple pieces of news, which Kent reminded me that we should have more news, but we only have a couple pieces of news. But we have a lot of other things to talk about, so we can make it work. But yeah. Anything else going on with you guys that we want to talk about? Nobody else is going to Gen Con, right?
No.
No.
If
Unfortunately,
anybody can
no.
figure out a way to go, I'll sneak you into my room.
Man, I would love to go to Gen Con. Just for the war game stuff, I didn't realize how many national tournaments happen at Gen Con.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
man.
about going next year just so I can do some of these big war game tournaments.
There's a lot of events for sure that go on.
Oh
there.
my goodness, there's so many events. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not able to go.
Yeah, a lot of our gaming friends, that's what they would do the entire time at Gen Con. They used to just always play tournaments, whether it was like an LCG or a CCG or some miniatures game or this thing or that thing. There's just so many tournaments and so many events going on. If you want to do events, I think Gen Con is so different to so many different people. You can experience that convention. It's so gigantic. You can experience a convention in a completely different way than tons of other people. It's kind
I
of
think
crazy.
that's what I like about it. It's not my favorite. I still like
Right.
the atmosphere of like the Dice Tower of let's get together with our friends and just play board games for 24 hours a day. But there is definitely like an attraction to the Gen Cons of, seeing Cult of the New,
Yeah.
seeing the demos of what's coming, and also some of the artists and stuff. And now that I'm into RPGs, like all the custom dice you can get, or even
It's insane,
to
man.
beef up your board games and stuff, and meet some of these amazing artists and stuff.
I bet you would look at it a completely different light, like through the lens of D&D going there. You would be like, holy smokes, this is just a whole different world.
I don't want to because
It'd be
I would
bad.
spend so much money. I would spend so much money on D&D stuff there because like I get notifications now for all these other companies. Like there was another Terrain Kickstarter that just recently launched, and I'm like, man, I could use this stuff, but I don't need to use this stuff.
Yeah.
And then also the food.
Yeah.
I hope that pizza place is still in town. But those habanero cheese sticks. You remember those?
What's the
Matt?
name of that pizza place? Because I need to go because you guys keep talking about this and I
I want
haven't.
to call it Matt's Crazy Night with the woman from. Huh?
I don't know. Some strike clubber. That was her name.
It was what?
Wayward. She was some wayward dancer who just left
Uh-oh.
the club. Was
Didn't
a little.
she say she had a dream
little
of you or
rude.
something?
No, she was just like, "Hey, man, I feel like you need a hug. I need a hug. This is just like a moment we're having. Let's just hug." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, that's." But there was a dude who was with her, so I was like, "Okay, I think I'm just getting mugged." And I was like, "I'm just gonna go along with it because it's." I'd rather that happen than get stabbed. Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's maybe the saddest hug ever, but no, it was just a woman who had been drinking heavily who was just like, "Yeah, this is a huggable dude," and I was just like, "All right." So.
It's like as the blade goes in, I saw this coming.
Yeah.
You just like hold on a little tighter, like.
And it was like probably like 2-3
It was
a.m.
late.
at the time because I was out by myself just roaming for
Yeah,
I
the
think
back
I watched
alleys
the
of
Critical Role
Indianapolis.
live show and it had let out and I was looking for food. on my way back in. But it was like all the clubs were letting out, so it was just a seas of people who were inebriated.
How many? What's the population of Indy? It's got to be a couple million, right?
Oh, for sure. It's huge.
And then you have 70,000+ board game nerds and stuff there. And you're just out at 2:00 in the morning giving random hugs to women, expecting to get stabbed.
Yeah.
Hoping not to.
Oh, man. Now I want to go.
Gen Con. If
Just
that
to go.
isn't an
Gen
advertisement
Con.
for going to Gen Con, I don't know what is, guys. Book
We'll
your
never
ticket,
forget
get a
that
hug.
story.
Dude, I'll talk to my roommates. Like they're nice. They'll let you in.
I might take you up on that. Or just got back in the country, but
slide in. It'll be okay. But yeah. Well, before we talk a little bit more about Gen Con, I guess we can talk about our couple little news articles here. One of these is huge, and that is the winners of the Spiel have all been announced. Dun dun dun. I haven't played any of these games, and I feel bad about that. I really want to play one of them.
One.
Yeah. Well, so like a few episodes ago, we did talk about these nominees. But Sky Team took the win for the Spiel. That's the co-op 2-player only game
And that's the one I really
where
want
you're
to
flying an
play.
airplane. I think that's a pretty approachable game for almost anybody to play. But it's a little bit heavier than what I would think would win a Spiel award, which is, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a heavy game, but I feel like the Spiel lately in the last few years have been like skewing towards very light games. And I wouldn't call this like a really light game, right? Compared to what they've been doing. So I think it's a really good pick.
And
kind of cool
at work,
game for it.
they were talking about the fact that this is the first time a 2-player game has ever won the Spiel. And like
okay, yeah.
all of the last few Spiel winners have all been cooperative games, so it just resonates with people. I love cooperative games personally, so I can see why they're winning awards,
Yeah.
Did Boop win?
For what?
Did Boop win a Spiel?
I
I
don't
thought
know.
for
I don't
some,
know.
maybe that was nominated for something else.
I think
Maybe
they
that
said
was
the
like
last
another
few
award.
years. They were like
Yeah.
naming them all off, and I think all the way back to just one had all won big cooperative or something like that. Like Dwarf
I think
Romantic
it
was
was somebody
last
else.
year. I don't remember what the year before that was, but
Yeah, and then the Kinderspiel was Daybreak by Matt Leacock. It's that cooperative game about climate change. This is one I definitely still want to try. Matt Leacock knows how to make co-ops, and it's funny it's another co-op game winning this award too, which is the slightly heavier game. But yeah, like I said, Matt Leacock can make a great cooperative game, and this is kind of an interesting theme. And the board looks pretty cool. It looks like a neat game, but I've not tried it. And
honestly, I think there was Reiner Knizia had like the Lord of the Rings cooperative game, and then there are like those team-based like Shadows of Camelot, but Pandemic definitely brought cooperative games to like the limelight, So Matt Leacock's still winning awards with like new games, so that's amazing.
Yeah. And then the kids game was the Magic Keys. Again, I'm not super familiar about this game. That's the one with the cool components, and I think it has little tactile key pieces and things.
That's cool.
But I don't know if it's going to be. I wonder if it's going to come over to the States now that it's won the award. Because a lot of those kids games are pretty fun. The ones that win the awards, and even the ones that are nominated, are usually pretty good little kids games. But
yeah, we played Captain Flip while we were at Dice Tower, and it was a cute little game.
that was in
that
the
was
Spiel
one-
category.
Oh, that was in the
Yeah,
Spiel
that was in the Spiel
category. Okay.
But yeah, it's very much lighter than Sky Team by far, but it's still a fun little game too. But
That's
it almost does feel like it fits in a kids game category.
That's one of the things that I always look for at Gen Con is like kids games, It's like I always want to bring something back to the family, so it's cool that like there's these different German games that always win these that like it feels like every year when they pop up, like the nominations, it's like I've never heard of any of these games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But then they turn
Yeah.
out being pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And they're always like, a lot of them are outside the box and stuff you would never like consider, and you're like, oh, that's kind of a cool twist on a kids game.
That's awesome. But yeah. And then this next piece of news I was super stoked about. I'm glad this has finally been announced. This is Unmatched Adventures Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This is the best news I could have heard ever.
This is great. And the fact that this is the Unmatched Adventures cooperative version, it comes with like Shredder and Krang as bad guys, so you have more bad guys to face against, and then it has the Ninja Turtles with all of their
Is
sidekicks
this
and
the
stuff like
game
that.
to bring Kent back to board games?
Yeah. This is an auto buy for sure.
Honestly, anything Unmatched Adventures would have been auto buy, but
Yeah,
this is
true.
like,
pretty
That's
much,
very
yeah.
true. But
this is
like-
amazing because like this
Yeah.
is a really cool IP.
Yeah, this is the perfect IP for this too.
I'm
sure.
still. I was looking at the zombie side, the white castle thing or whatever one. I'm excited for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on
Yeah.
that one. And yeah, I saw this
Yeah.
email earlier this week. I don't know why, but for some reason, the last couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff I've seen, I've gotten really excited about it. Like I'm not even like a huge fan, but it looks really good.
Mhm.
That's cool.
I think this will definitely be an instant buy.
This is going to be so accessible, so playable, so it's just going to get played. Like it's that zombie side stuff, like is just like so many boxes of stuff, and like this one is just you just throw in your bag, bring it, and you can just play
Yeah.
this easily, and it's great.
Yeah.
So
Now what I
That's
really want,
playing Unmatched taught me is like,
yeah,
especially the mix and match. As long as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have the characters and a board, you can play.
I want an Unmatched set now that has Renaissance artists or whatever that has the actual artist of Leonardo.
Yeah.
And you can fight
They
them
could eas-
against the
they
Ninja
could totally do that.
Turtles.
Yeah.
they could totally do that.
They would kind of fit in
I mean, they did
Unmatched, strangely.
Shakespeare, right? So,
They have Shakespeare, you know.
We got to get on that. Maybe go talk to
I'm going to talk to Justin.
We just don't
I
get them
still, I
any
still want my Witcher one. I don't know when that's coming out.
Oh,
They
yeah,
said
that'll be
2024, but they haven't put a date on that yet.
fun.
Maybe
Where's
we'll
it
show
at?
some stuff at Gen Con.
I'm learning not to look at dates.
Yeah, sometimes things get delayed so much.
Yeah,
So bad.
especially with IPs. Like when you're working with a property,
Yep.
who knows what can happen with that?
Chinese New Year.
I finally got my. Oh, don't even get me started on it. But there's this one Kickstarter that actually had it accounted for it. You guys heard me talking about it. That's so good. But I did randomly get my Kickstarter come in for the catapults and bows or whatever. I can't even remember.
That came in?
Crossbows and catapults?
Oh, yeah.
Crossbows and catapults. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That
Yeah.
came in?
Yeah. It just randomly came in. I never got a notification or anything.
Oh, wow, that's
Uh,
awesome.
And I'm still waiting on several that were supposed to be here late last year, earlier this year.
That's cool.
Is Unmatched going to do this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as like a Kickstarter or something? Or is it going straight to retail?
It is going to be a
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Why though?
I think
My
they-
guess, just to gauge demand and market it.
honestly, Kickstarters just make money, and the cool thing for the publisher is like you get the money before producing the game, therefore you know how much of it to make, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Plus
yeah,
financial
I mean,
risk.
maybe when they like with this IP, they needed to have the extra capital up front to be able to actually produce it. Who knows? I don't know. I'm sure there's some
Maybe.
behind the scenes reasons.
Yeah.
Just Restoration Games is killing it right
They
now.
are definitely killing it.
It
you
just
know,
seems
so-
like it'd be better to get your money up front before you produce it. It's just such a poor print run decision, like printing too many could almost bankrupt a company depending on what it is. So like
I
it
get
makes sense just to get the money up front.
Yep.
I'm just getting kind of tired of waiting so long.
But luckily
Yeah.
there's so many games already out that you can play right now.
No,
Can't do it.
I even
Gotta play
canceled
future
a couple
games.
of Kickstarters because I was
Oh
just like,
wow.
I don't want to wait. I was like, no, it's nothing against the game. It literally was just like, you're lying. You're telling me you're going to come next June. You're not coming next June. You're a liar, and I don't trust you.
Wow.
Well, speaking of Kickstarters, have you guys seen Plaid Hats? I know we talked about it.
Oh,
last time
Wandering
I was on the
Galaxy.
show. Yeah, it's doing well for what it put out there, but I kind of expected more.
Well, the
what do
thing
you
is,
guys
like,
think about that?
the thing that people forget is, like, Plaid Hat has never done a Kickstarter before. So with Kickstarter, if you've done a bunch of them, you start to build, like, a following. And, like, whenever you launch a new one, people get notified. They just started their first Kickstarter account and, like, made their first game, So
Yeah.
it's not as well known. They're not as well known in Kickstarter and stuff like that. So, but those games, the Crossroads games for those are just so amazing. I love them. So
Yeah.
I am surprised that it hasn't like gone gangbusters, but they did interesting stuff of like basically be upfront with the fact of this is a pre-order, the game's going to be coming out. Like this is a way to gauge demand. We're not doing stretch goals. We're not doing any of that stuff,
Yeah, and I mean, if there weren't anything exclusive and people can just get it at retail anyway, a lot of times I think people might just wait to get it at retail, especially from a company like that who they have been used to getting from retail. So that could be part of it too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I don't know,
I'm
I just-
excited. I'm excited for that game.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, but I guess we can get into what we've been playing. Matt, yours is still the same thing?
Yeah.
Click.
Yes, I've been building Lego and also Wingspan as per usual. But no, I had, I just keep buying Lego because why not?
It's a,
What sets are you
yeah.
working on now?
Right now I'm building like a tree house that has like a little north of 2,000 pieces, and so
Awesome.
I'm like over halfway done with it. It's fun. It's but me and Kaylee have been trying to build them together, and so some of the sets are really easy to do that with, and some of them are like, okay, here's your catalog, and you just got to go through, and then it's just very additive, so it's not exactly super conducive to like multiple people doing it. So we went and bought more Lego, and now we're just separately building.
Building separate things together.
Healthy for the relationship too.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been doing that. It's a lot of fun, and I play Wingspan as it's what I do. It's I get on the computer every once in a while and go, hadn't played Wingspan in a minute.
Did you ever see my message on Discord? I sent it to you. It was like it was a few weeks ago. You were playing Wingspan, and I made a comment like again. ... And like you never responded. I was like, oh man, did I hurt Matt's feelings? Like my bad, Matt.
No, I usually keep Discord closed because I have like a particular Discord that I try to keep tabs on, like what's going on inside the Discord, so it shoots out notifications to my phone. And if I leave it on my computer's just going all day, and it's just like, nah, I can't. It's too much.
Yeah, because I see what you're playing and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, Wingspan again. Okay, Matt.
Yeah,
That's
what I do.
Okay. Well, you also play D&D.
Good pick.
That's true. That's true. But still probably play Wingspan more than I do D&D.
You definitely.
Much harder
Have you
to get
tried
people together
Wormspan
for
yet?
D&D. No, not yet.
I like Wormspan.
I'm still trying to get a group together for like a game day. Kaylee keeps mentioning her work friends, trying to get them together for something.
Nice.
And so I'm just like, yeah, soon.
That'd be cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Rob's. Zombies.
So my niece and nephew are in town for the weekend, and so we are hosting them. And I told my nephew, I just got back in the country, so I've been slammed with work, trying to catch up. And so I told my nephew, hey, like leave me alone. I'm trying to work. Go pick out 3 games, and we'll play one of the games. Well, I guess he had already been thinking this because within like 2 minutes, he's back with 3 games. And one was Dead of Winter. They wanted to play with my youngest. I was like, we're not going to play Dead of Winter with the youngest. And then he brought that Minecraft game that he wasn't crazy about, but he was like, man, I really want to play Zombicide. And he brought up the first edition of Zombicide. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. So we played Zombicide first edition today, and we had a blast. Like it's always
That's
great.
awesome.
Had a lot of fun. That's my nephew up there, little Z. Great kid. And there's my niece. You can't see her. And then Briley. And then Emerson was like, you could see her player card and you could see where her stuff is. But she's like, I'm just going to go dance over here. So she's off, in the corner just dancing, not playing at all. But we had a lot of fun. It was a crazy mission. I did one of the book missions just to help my brain not have to think about too much. But it was kind of fun. We all worked together, and we had a good time. And I, skirted on a couple of the rules. Like when they're inside, I let them shoot outside and stuff, even though you're not allowed to do that. But Zombicide to me is just, it's a classic. Especially, I like it myself, but especially with like the young kids, they see miniatures, they get all excited about miniatures. And because I have a lot of Zombicide, there's a lot of plastic pieces, and so they got all excited. We have a lot of fun. We won. We were able to get through it. We got in the Pimp Mobile that's in the bottom right hand corner. We drove through a bunch of zombies and got out. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun. Zombicide. There's so many renditions of Zombicide.
Oh
my
sure.
gosh. From westerns to medieval to modern day to superhero to everything. So to even the futuristic Space Marine Zombicide that Kent's got over his shoulder. So like, yeah, if you're into Zombicide or you want like a intro level board game, this is what I play. But a lot of fun. Also, I didn't put it up there. I played That's Not a Hat.
Oh yeah, how's that?
That's a crazy game. I don't care for that game, bro.
Oh, really? You don't like it? I've heard people say positive stuff about it.
Okay,
But
that's
how
not
does it
a
work?
hat,
I don't
it's-
even know.
It's a memory game, right?
Man, we played that in Europe. And after the first round, it's like, okay, but you get these cards and it tells you which way to pass. And by the time, if it even comes to you, because some of the cards you might just be passing back and forth with, the person beside you. And then you're trying to remember all their passes. And then you got to remember, oh, hi, Ruthie. Yeah, we're here too. We're part of this relationship too. And then you got to remember what that person was 19 minutes ago who never even got the thing passed to them. It gets kind of crazy. Like, it's up there. Maybe, I mean, it's hard to mess up a rule book that's got like 2 pages. So it's not like I messed it up, but all that memory stuff, just the way you pass back and forth, like you fall asleep on it, and then the next thing you know, it's your turn, and everybody else's card at this point is now flipped over, and you got to try to remember what it was, and they'll call you out on it, and you lose. So, but anyway, Zombie
Sounds so
Side
hard.
definitely better than That's Not a Hat.
So in fact, it wasn't a hat, or
No, it's not a hat. I think the only time I've seen a hat is on the cover. There's so many pictures and stuff like that. But then, like, we're just making up stuff. At one point, Emerson said, like, octopus, and there wasn't even an octopus option that was out in front of it. Like, nobody was, like, it was just, it got a little,
chaotic.
well, yeah, because, again, you get the card, and the card has an arrow on who you're supposed to pass it back to. And you can either say, I accept your gift, or I decline your gift. And so if they keep accepting, then they flip over and then their card. And so we had this one point where it was like, I think it was 7 or 8 times. They just kept passing. So everybody else on the other side of the table, we're just watching 2 people say, this is a that, and that is a this, and this is a this, and this is a that. Okay. But then you get bored out of your mind. And then when it finally inches its way over to you, and then now you've got to try to remember, crap, well, what were all these other cards over here? Because you're just watching this little back and forth thing. It's cute, but I think I would do it more as a punishment. Like if my girl,
So
like
it's not a Rob game.
if they did something, like they did bad on a history test or something, I'd be like, no, we're playing that. You're gonna remember this. You're gonna learn today.
There you go.
Yeah, make one for whatever they're learning in school.
That's not a bad idea. 'Cause you could.
Yeah.
But anyway, Zombie Side for the win.
Well, my game that I recently played is kind of dual purpose here because not only is it a game that I played recently, but also it's a Gen Con release that I'm super excited about, and this is Mandalorian Adventures, Star Wars Mandalorian Adventures. This is a game from Corey Konezka that is kind of like a return to form a little bit. This feels like old school Fantasy Flight, as you're kind of like cooperatively going through this this map book, and you're playing cards to kind of like attack enemies and complete secret missions. And I was super excited about this game. I played it with Tom and Z. I just had a lot of fun, like trying to math out and work together to try to figure out exactly like the way to overcome stuff. We played like 2 games of this like back to back really, really quick. The first game we had to like go get these different things to get these codes and then open up this door to like get an or save Baby Yoda outside of this room or whatever. And like there's all of these face down tokens, so each time you play the game there could be stuff in different areas. And there's all these bad guys that kind of have like predetermined movement where they'll come towards you. But the bad guy stuff only triggers once you play a certain threshold of cards. So you have all these different actions you can take, like, okay, I could attack, or I could like interact, or I could move. And you can play different cards that have numbers on them for different strengths of that. So I could play like a move 4, and then I could move 4 spaces. Or I could play a move 1, and I could only move 1 spaces. Well, it's just a number. I have a number that says 1 or 4 or whatever. But if the entire row gets to 5, then bad guys will activate. If the entire row gets to 6 instead, like if you push it too far, even worse stuff can happen normally. So you're trying to figure out how to mitigate doing these actions without triggering too many of the bad guy activations or triggering them when it won't hurt you as bad. Also, the back of the bad guy activation cards show you what type of bad guys are activating. It's just like this giant puzzle of figuring out how to move around and move the bad guys and make things happen and then trigger stuff. It also has modes in it as well that are very much like it reminds me of Shadows Over Camelot, where you shuffle up these roll cards and you deal them out to everybody, but there might not even be a traitor. And then basically you have a trader that's kind of like the smuggler or like the bad guy type character. And then they have a completely different objective that they're trying to do. And if they succeed in that objective, then they win the game that way. But you could be playing and no one is that, you know. So it's very interesting. I really, really enjoyed this game. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it felt like an old school Fantasy Flight game, and it felt like an old school Corey Konieczka game. So that's why I really enjoyed Mandalorian Adventures.
Sorry, is it campaign or can you just play one-offs? I missed that.
It is, well, it's not like a campaign. So the way it works is you open the box and it has 4 scenarios, and this might be a little bit spoilery, but it's not that much. You can play through it like you're playing through the first season of Mandalorian. Basically, it has all the stories kind of match that, but you don't have to. So the cool thing is, like, you can literally like be like, well, we're gonna play this scenario right now, and we're gonna use these cards. Well, we're gonna play this scenario and use these cards. Once you unlock more stuff, you unlock alternate scenarios for each of the maps. So they're still happening kind of in the same areas, but now there's new objectives. And you get more cards for each of the character decks. And it turns out there's like 8 different characters in this game, with like, I don't know how many scenarios, but there's a lot of different scenarios. Some of them have a hidden trader, some of them don't. But if you don't want to play with Hidden Trader at all, ever, you can play this game a lot and still enjoy it because there's so many scenarios that don't have the Hidden Trader aspect to it. But yeah, if you want to play through it just straight, you can play through a campaign and just continue to go through, unlocking cards as you go, playing through the story. Or you can just literally be like, hey guys, I like this scenario. Let's play this random scenario. We're going to try to beast this out together real quick one shot, you know. And I think it's really enjoyable.
Cool.
It gives me a little bit of vibes of like Marvel Champions, because in between each of the different pages, it has comic books, like a Mandalorian story. So as you're playing through the first thing as the campaign, you'll read those comic books and be like, oh yeah, this is happening in this area and that's happening in that area. And it just follows the beats of the first season of Mandalorian. So if you haven't watched Mandalorian at all, it might not be as appealing to you, but I don't know. I was really down on Star Wars for a while. And I think like Mandalorian is like Star Wars that I actually like, you know? So
Yeah.
It's so well done.
yeah.
Such a great Star Wars show.
Especially for the first season.
Yeah.
That's what I kept up with. I didn't really watch a ton of the rest of it because it kept going and they had, you know, Book of Boba Fett things and all that, and then all these other things. I never kept up with everything.
Book of Boba Fett is only good with the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Like
basically
those episodes, yeah.
It just I just count it as Mandalorian episodes. Basically.
I just love the Power Rangers in the Book of Boba Fett.
You mean those
The little kids on the
bikes?
scooters, yeah.
Yeah, with the different
All
colors.
the different
With
colors.
the colors, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was so bad.
So bad
Wait.
it was good.
But yeah,
I
this
want
is-
to like this. We'll see. I like Corey Konieczka.
I like cooperative games a lot, so this was just fun for me to be like,
It sounds a little bit like the Initiative card play from his other game, The
yeah, a
Initiative.
little bit, yeah.
I liked that game a lot, The Initiative, and I like that card management system where you're kind of managing the different powers of the strength of your actions with cards and stuff.
I had a lot of fun, like, working together and, like, figuring stuff out. Like, Z's like, oh, I'm going to try to run up this path. Oh, there's a big bad guy in the way. Let's push the bad guy back. Oh, no, the bad guy moved. Let's push the bad guy back again so that way you can run through, and just working together in those ways to, like, move stuff around. But it's more of a puzzle than a hack and slash, you know? You're not going to be able to defeat all the bad guys in time, you know, without getting wrecked. You're going to have to figure out how to sneak through and, like, complete your objectives, which I really enjoyed. So
Good.
Cool.
but yeah, this is kind of a game that I really kind of want to own. So like if it's accessible at Gen Con, sometimes Gen Con games just are just gone, you know. And that might be the case.
Yeah, I
with
love
this
how
one.
there's 70,000 people and they bring 100 copies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna release 25 a day.
Yeah.
No running. This game was on pre-order for $8,000, and it'll still sell out. No. Yeah.
And by the time you get to the booth, 20 of them are gone because people.
Well, I mean, you can pre-order this on many retailers online. You might have to wait a little while, but it'll eventually be out, I'm sure.
Yeah, because the people like the Roys of this world, screw you, Roy, because you get that behind-the-scenes stuff, and you can go purchase a copy of this before we can. You know, the layman, you know, the blue collar.
Well,
So,
if you go and work an
yeah,
exhibitor
I'm sure you're
booth
going to
with
struggle
any
to find a
exhibitor,
copy since you're in there hours before all of us.
if you
How
work
dare
with
you?
any
I'm not
exhibitor,
going now.
go help out people in the industry. Go work on an exhibitor, and you can have an exhibitor booth too. Don't get mad at me
I
for
don't want
working.
the petty excuses or voices of reason. It's just not there. I'm done.
I want to
going
not
there.
work and get the perks of the working. No, I'm just kidding.
Is
This
that
is
too much
America.
to ask?
I mean, you
We-
can do
we just
anything
go
if
for
you
the
have enough
Lorcana
cash
stuff.
monies.
And the Seamon stuff. I want those golden Superman. I want that gold Superman.
What gold Superman?
They've got promos. Simon's doing promos for. They're at San Diego Comic Con right now. They have promos of like a golden Superman and a golden Batman from
Oh, yeah,
the new. The new
So they're gonna have
set.
them at. They're gonna have them at Gen
They
Con,
have a
too.
Godzilla for Death May Die, a monster you add onto Death May Die Godzilla, and they have a pack of other superheroes from Marvel United. It's like Doctor Strange, Agatha, Scarlet Witch, a few others.
Grey Hulk.
Yeah, Grey Hulk.
Those are gonna
Anyway,
be
all that
so
stuff
much.
looks. It's all kind of con exclusive. Hopefully, you can get it later, but it's kind of cool.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, all
Those
that,
They
stuff,
might have stuff like that at Gen Con.
all that stuff came into the studio today. Anyway, Kim,
Let's be nice.
and literally Tom's like, "Hey, want a gold Batman?" And I'm like, somebody else can have the gold Batman." I'm to the point of like,
Say yes for
Say
us.
yes.
Just say
I want
yes.
the gold
But
Superman.
the Superman didn't come, so the Superman's even rarer for us because we didn't have any chance to get the gold Superman.
'Cause I did back DC United.
Oh, that's cool.
If anything, just for all of the add-on stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Simon's doing amazing stuff. You know, their stuff is so cool.
Now with True Dang. Different.
Now with True Vang, I canceled that crap. Anyway, but yeah, let's go to Kent's game. Kent's game's awesome.
Yeah, so at Dice Tower East, we were able to play Pokemon Splendor.
Mhm.
And then, spoiler alert, we had to order a copy for ourselves.
It's so
So we
good.
played it some more. But basically, Pokemon Splendor is a reskin of the game Splendor, which is, a pretty well-known, popular game. And it's essentially a game where you're trying to collect these resource tokens to convert those resource tokens into different cards.
Pokeballs, come on.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying Splendor, the original
Okay,
Splendor.
Splinter. Okay, gotcha.
And they're gems, and you're getting favor of these nobles and stuff. Anyway, you're collecting cards to kind of do a little engine building and try to get points. So with the Pokemon version, they just kind of rethemed it with all the cool Pokemon from the first generation that everyone loves. And it's all different Pokeballs. You got, Pokeballs, Ultra Balls, not Nest Balls.
Heal balls,
Yeah, you got all
Quick
those.
balls.
quick
Yeah,
balls.
You got Master Balls. So you collect all these different balls. You're collecting the different Pokemon, and essentially it is the same as Splendor for the most part, except there is a cool thing where you can evolve Pokemon in it. So as you collect the different Pokemon, they're going to give you like inherent like ball abilities. Like so, you might already have like 2 Great Balls or whatever. If you have a certain number of those
I love when I
already
have
on your
pair of
cards,
Great Balls.
you get to evolve your Pokemon to the next stage if they're available in the market or you've claimed a Pokemon previously, like reserved it for yourself. So it's kind of a neat little twist. It just lets you jump up in points a little bit, and you can, if you plan well, you can really make a big point swing on a turn, because it's like you can claim a big point Pokemon, but then also evolve a different Pokemon and then gain a bunch of points in one turn. But it's really fun. We played it with our kids last night,
Nice.
and they were just loving it. They mainly were trying to go for the Pokemon they liked. They're like, I want to go for that one right there. Like that's the one. And so you got to make sure they reserve the ones they want, otherwise they could be sniped out from underneath you. But otherwise, it's just a fun little easy game. We're okay with the original Splendor, but we didn't play it too much. We got rid of it. But this one is a lot better just because the theme and just looking at the Pokemon and just
Isn't it weird how like this version of the game is strangely more thematic?
It is,
Yeah,
and it's still pretty easy to play, and it's got the nice little engine building kind of stuff going on. And you just get at the end of the game, even if you lose, you'd be like, well, look at all these Pokemon I collected. So it's still a fun thing to do.
Yeah, and our 5-year-old Peter, he doesn't sit through a lot of games. He's like Emerson, just like really loses interest. Like
Yeah.
he's there for like a turn and then he's gone. But he was on my team for this one, and he sat there the whole time, and he was helping me pick out, okay, which Pokemon are we going to go for next? Which, I mean, it was funny. Like the first one he wanted to get was Mewtwo, which is like the legendary one or whatever. So that's
Yeah.
the one we had to get first. But yeah, and then I was like, it was like I was 1 point away from winning the
Yeah.
game. And I was like, "Oh, Peter, if we do this, we'll win." And he was like, "Oh, but I don't want to. I want to do this. I want to get this Pokemon. I don't want to win."
He's like, "I want to keep
going.
playing." He's like, "I want to keep playing."
And then I was like, "Oh, well." And then I realized, okay, if we could get that Pokemon that he wanted, and then I could evolve another one and still win. So we did that instead. So I was like, so we can do both. We can get the Pokemon that you wanted and win the game. Yeah. So he liked that idea, but it was cute. But
yeah, it went over really well. It's just
they loved it.
It's worth playing even if you don't love Splendor. If you love Pokemon or that kind of thing, it's worth playing, I would say.
I do wish that instead of having like the heal balls or the more like abstract balls, they had like berries and like rocks or something like that. Like it would be slightly a little bit like more thematic, but I think this is great. I think this is fun. Yeah. I know.
And the chips are really good quality.
Yeah.
They feel have really nice weight to them and stuff, and the components are great. It is only in Korean, available in Korea, so you have to find English rules online. You have to import it from Korea. So just FYI, but it's worth it if you're a fan of Pokemon and want to play Splendor.
Does it bother you, Kent, though, or are you disappointed in your children that they like the theme of the game rather than just the mechanics? Like, how disappointed right now are you that your kids wanted to keep playing the game rather than maximize points?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
He disciplined them after the game, for sure.
So, I mean, I don't totally hate theme, but, I mean, having the theme helps somewhat, but it doesn't immerse me in the game. It doesn't immerse me in the theme, but it's like, here's cool things to look at while I'm playing the game, That's kind of how it goes.
Okay.
Wild. Wow. Well, Courtney played another thematic game.
Another thematic game, yeah. So we backed this on Kickstarter. It's called Dungeon Cart. It's kind of like a version of Mario Kart, I guess. I'm not crazy about the art, I'll be honest, but it was a pretty good game. So in the game, it's kind of like, it reminded me of Formula D, where you've got like a shifter, and you can shift up or shift down on your turn, and that kind of determines how many spaces you can go. But you can only make one, like they're hex spots, I think, and so you can only move like one, basically do one turn per turn. You can only turn a little bit per turn, so you have to be really careful about how many moves you're going, because you might end up running into a wall and then you crash, right? So which crashing isn't that bad, but it does slow you down. So but this is a lot of fun. They have like little coins you can drive over, which allow you, if you have so many coins, you can do special abilities, or you can ride over scrolls, which give you different power-ups. And it's cool if you're they kind of do the Mario Kart thing, where it's like, if you're first you have different power-ups than if you're the last person.
Interesting.
So like the ones that are in last place get better power-ups.
The first place only gets a banana.
Right. Or coins or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it was really fun. We played this with our oldest, Steven, and he really liked it. And yeah, it was a good time. It was, pretty simple game. So he liked getting the power-ups and trying to crash everybody, and because you can like run into people and crash them too, or push them off the board. And so he liked trying to push us off the board.
Could you push people off the board with heat?
And heat, I don't think so.
Not I know like the whole crashing and gauging up and down, all that kind of stuff. So it's not heat, but it's sort of sounding a little bit like you have to be careful, that kind of stuff.
You have to be basically careful of turning on this game. You were just gonna smash into a wall or smash into something.
Do you get to attack the other players a lot in this, like in Mario Kart, or?
It encourages smashing and hitting people and shooting.
So you have to actively run into them as opposed to like throwing things at them?
Yeah.
You can do either or.
Either or.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they did have
stuff
stuff like
if
power-ups that
Simon made a Mario Kart game, because they can't have the license, they just changed, instead of Mario, it's Barrio.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool.
It's got a cool modular board. There's so many tiles.
It came with a lot of stuff.
I
love the way that board looks right there. That's
just all those big modular hexes, and that's the one they said to build. There's a ton of different ones you can build.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't crazy about the art on the little characters, but you don't really look at it. But the little characters are like little standees, which is acrylic standees. Yeah,
that was cool looking.
Yeah. But it was fun. We had a good time with it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I guess we can have our topic of the week, which is a preview of some Gen Con games, which I think will go to Matt first.
Okay, well, I'm going to try my best to pronounce this first one. Tir na Nog is a game that I saw on sort of the list of games coming out of Gen Con, and it kind of piqued my interest. It seems to be a bit of a tableau builder style thing. The theme of the game is Tir na Nog is the name of the Irish otherworld, and a portal is opening up into it, and you and everybody else at the table is playing a writer or a poet of some degree who's trying to get into that other realm and craft a story that will live on throughout all the ages of myth and legend and all that. And so the gameplay to me looked a lot like sort of a tableau builder where you're basically trying to build a story in a couple of different segments, and the scoring for each of these stories has to do with sort of what column it's in. And I don't know if there's like scoring. Each individual player has their own sort of scoring methodology for it. I just really like the idea of like trying to create a story that, of course, this is going to be mostly focused on, hey, your story has 12 points or whatever. But like, I like the idea that you're trying to craft narratives with these different elements that ultimately may be the best story that's told that lives on to our generation as opposed to faltering out. Part of the reason I picked this is like I have a lot of ideas for games and other stuff kicking around in the back of my head, and one of the ideas that I had was I had read an article somewhere about somebody. They were talking about there were stories passed down from generation to generation to generation of like great floods that happened like 50, 60,000 years ago stuff. And so it was just crazy to me to see how like oral storytelling traditions like long out exceed written storytelling, and that we have these stories that may not be fully translated into text that are making their way through other means and stuff like that. And I thought that would be a super neat idea for a game, and this seems to be that. So it definitely piqued my interest.
It looks super good. I love the art on it and stuff, and just the way it plays out.
That's cool.
Yeah, the art does look really good. But yeah, that's my first game. My second game is just another version of a game that's already out and about. It's Undaunted 2020, or not 2020, good God, 2200, Callisto. The Undaunted series is a game that I've wanted to play, but haven't really had the opportunity to play it. I've heard tons of good things about it, and just rebranding Undaunted, which is already like a really good war game, into something that's sci-fi themed and a bit more hypothetical and stuff. Just really exciting. The art looks cool. I feel like this would be the one for me to jump in on instead of going back and getting like a Normandy or anything like that.
Yeah, this was in my top 10 list that I did today on the Dice Tower, and it was basically for the same reason. It's like, I've heard so many good things of this. I like that, but like I want to do it in space, not in real life, And I'm excited about this. It looks really cool. All the cards and stuff. It's like, yeah, I want to try this out finally. And if it's not about blowing up real people, space people, then it's fine.
Yeah. I think that's it. Is like you hear all this stuff about this game, and it's like the theme may not necessarily appeal to you, but it's like you just change the theme, and I'm like, man, I'm in. Ooh.
It's so funny. I was the exact same way.
But yeah, those are the two games I picked. There's a third honorable mention because I saw it, but I didn't know if it'd be for sale. But Comic Hunters was on the list that I was looking at.
It's gonna be there at the Spin Master booth. It's awesome. That game is awesome.
Too. They have it listed only for $25. We played that last year or the year before at Dice Tower East. That was a great game.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I've been watching the page, like Spin Master's page, to see when they kind of release it, and are like, hey, you can purchase it out in the wild, and it's
August.
Seen anything? So, okay.
On the BGG preview it says August with an MSRP of only $25.
Hey, well, whenever it comes out, I'm all over it. If it's just going to be a limited Gen Con release and then come out, a year later or something, I'm going to be like, dang, this really sucks.
I think they're gonna get it out quickly. I think like it's coming in. So
yeah, I mean the fact that they picked up a relatively unknown kind of Brazilian game. It really shows that the quality of the game really.
Well, that's literally the Dice Tower's fault. It's a Dice Tower Essentials. So it's the funny fact is like some guy from Brazil reached out to us like, hey, I think you guys would really like this game, but like it's Marvel themed and it's like only licensed in Brazil. So they sent Mike a copy of it, and then we were playing in the studio for a while, played it with Tom and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, we should try to bring this to the States. And literally we worked with Arcane Wonders, but Arcane Wonders was like, oh, we don't have the Marvel license. We've seen other people work with Spin Master to get the Marvel license. We'll hit up Spin Master to try to get the Marvel license. So then Arcane Wonders partnered with Spin Master while also partnering with the Brazilian designer and Brazilian team over there, all working together to like make this game actually make its way to the States.
That's awesome.
So yeah, now it's been like really hard for people to get a hold of, and like $200 on eBay and all that crazy stuff for the Brazilian version. So now it's actually coming to the States, and it's like $25 and affordable for people, which is awesome,
Yeah, that's great.
So it's just a whole bunch of different ways to draft comic books, It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yep.
But yeah, Rob, your games.
The first one is probably the easiest one. Foundations of Metropolis. That's the new Emerson Matsuuchi game, and it's basically the sequel, if you want to say, to Foundations of Rome. The gameplay is the same as the standalone game as the Foundation of Rome, but I like how it's a modern build and stuff like that. Also, it's not going to be as crazy expensive because they're also saying an MSRP of $50. But I really like city builders, and so and I also really love Emerson Matsuuchi. And I was looking through some of the other ones that I didn't want to put down because I already have some of those pre-ordered that I would have mentioned. But so I saw this one. I was like, oh man, Emerson Foundations, and it's got a more metro, because it's Foundations of Metropolis. So it's a more modern day city builder. This could be really cool. So I'm looking forward to this. I've only ever heard good things about Foundations of Rome. The only bad thing I've heard about it is the price, but it's so spectacular. Yeah. So that'd be kind of cool if they did something like this in the future for Foundations of Metropolis. But I want to be able to get it just because I just spent a lot of money. So I love this, that it's only at $50. And if it's similar to the other game, I think this would be a good way to get people to come in.
Yeah, this one. It's supposed to be like exactly the same. It even has like, it's all cardboard pieces instead of like the plastic 3D things or whatever. But yeah. It still has like trays to keep all the pieces separate, and it's like still pretty decently like deluxe, Like if it wasn't for how ridiculously overly deluxe Foundations of Rome was, this would be like, oh, this is a cool deluxe game with like cool cardboard components and really nice trays or whatever. But because the other one exists, it's like, oh, this one's the cheaper version. But yeah, it is the cheaper version, but it's still really, really nice. And plays the same way. It's still got the whole like, these buildings affect these buildings, and you get points in different ways. Have you not played Foundations of Rome at all, or?
I have not. But the thick cardboard and stuff, I think will still show well. And I want to play Foundations of Rome just to be able to say I touched it, because it does look so amazing. But the downgrading components, it is definitely a downgrade compared, but I still think it's going to come out really well. Yeah, I don't think Emerson's going to put his name on something that's cheap.
It's so funny to me because I played this with Emerson when it was like pieces of paper, So it's so funny to see like this gigantic version, and now they're making a cardboard version, and like, yeah, it's cool.
It almost feels like this version should have came out first, and then they're like, oh, hey, you guys really like that, so we're going to do a different one. It's nicer.
Well, I think the fact that they made millions of dollars on Kickstarter, they're doing okay.
Arcane Wonders knew exactly what they were doing. They were like, no, this one works.
It does feel kind of bad when you buy a game and they're like, here's a better version of this game that you have. Now you got to buy this new version. You don't have to, obviously, but it does feel bad sometimes when, like,
I think if you own Foundations of Rome, I don't think there's any reason to necessarily get Foundations of Metropolis because it's the same game, unless you just want to be more portable, right?
If you want to take it to game night, you might want to get it.
Dude, I see people carrying Foundations of Rome like to conventions and bringing their own copy all the time, which is insane because that game is gigantic.
It's too big.
I mean, in the Kickstarter, one of the add-ons was specifically a bag made just to hold it.
It's hilarious.
You need
it's
it.
Hilarious.
It's so big.
It's hilarious. It's so nice too. I've set it up I had to set it up at Dice Tower East on the table there, and it's just such a nice game.
No.
It does look really good. My second game, I only picked it up because of our recent trip to Scotland, to Edinburgh. We heard the story behind Jekyll and Hyde. So my second pick is Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard. It's a 2v2 player game where it's a small board and you're basically doing hand management. It's either 2v2 or 1v1. But essentially, one person or one team is Jekyll and Hyde, and they got to try to keep their temperament, under check while the other people are Scotland Yard, and they're trying to, expose Jekyll and Hyde and stuff like that. It's a lot of hand management. Again, it's a small, little board tracker thing, but it's mostly just cards. But it looks really cool, really fun. But again, we learned the story of the real Jekyll and Hyde while we were in Scotland, and so I was like, man, even before even reading the game, I was just like, I'm going to pick this one just because I know what really happened. So, anyway, but that's my second game. I'm definitely looking forward to some of the other games, but again, I've already pre-ordered some of those. But the real story of Jekyll and Hyde, he was not. He never took any drugs. It wasn't like he was a monster, but he wasn't like it wasn't like this. And it was in Scotland, not in London. But the guy, when he wrote the book, he based it out of London. So
nice. That's cool. There's so many good Gen Con games. My first one here is an expansion, and this is an expansion for Clank Catacombs, which I actually have played with Matt and Rob.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Clank Catacombs. I love the fact that they added all this exploration to the game, and there's having this layers and lost chambers, an expansion for Clank that adds more things to explore, more things to go through, more treasures to hunt for, more monsters to encounter, sort of thing. It has all these monster meeples that I guess maybe are going to be running around the board. I guess we'll see how that works in the game. I haven't played, but I'm definitely excited. I love a lot of Paul Denton's work, so I'm definitely excited to see how this plays out. This is going to be a must grab for me at Gen Con if I'm able to get my hands on it.
Especially since Ruthie really likes Clank Catacombs too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite Clanks, if not my favorite Clank.
Yeah, it's basically replaced all my other Clanks. I got rid of my regular Clank and I just have Catacombs now. So I really love Clank Legacy, but that's just a one-time go-through thing, So, and then my next one here is a game that I've played a few times, and this is Wrath of Fire Mountain. I love this game. It's a Eric Lang game, and it's kind of a lighter area control game. He worked with Phil Walker Harding. It's got dice rolling and choosing the dice that you want to do to move your little cavemen, spawn your cavemen out in the huts in the cave, move them around to try to area control these different areas, putting some of them out on the volcano if you roll the volcano symbol, and the volcano lets you shift the board around so you can cut up and change the landscape so you can get better area control. And then when the volcano erupts, you score all of your people, and you remove whoever has the highest number of cavemen in a space, and you get all the points for it. It feels very much like, Valhalla went off in this area. It feels like my first Blood Rage, almost. But it also has the fact of, if you roll dinosaur eggs, you can use those and put your cavemen over on the dinosaur and recruit dinosaurs, and now you have basically cavemen with special powers, but they're dinosaurs with special powers, and they allow you to kind of mix up the game. It feels very much like a Eric Lang design with the simplicity of a Phil Walker Harding game. So it's a cool mashup between those two designers. I really enjoy it. And this is a game that I feel will be a great introductory game to kids. If you're hey, I want my kids to eventually play Blood Rage someday, I'm going to teach them Wrath of Fire Mountain because it's a first step, sort of thing. Teaching them area control and taking over stuff. And the ties are all friendly in this game as well. So that's kind of interesting. But But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I definitely want a copy of this.
Is it for sale?
It's supposed to be for sale
think
there.
so,
They
yeah.
said they're going to have
sure.
a bunch of them, so I'm going to try to snag one if I can.
I still assert that Blood Rage is a kid's game, but I understand that I'm out heavily in that belief.
I still love that game.
How many kids do you have, Matt? I'm just kidding.
Well, actually, none that I'm aware of.
Yeah, but you watch your niece a lot. You should try it out on her.
Yeah. I mean, we played the Fuzzies the other day, and she organized the Fuzzies by color, so now my cup is color-coded, which is
You can just, like, next time you play with the Fuzzies, you just smash them, and you're like, that's like Ragnarok! No, I'm just kidding.
Speaking of which, man, I forgot. Of course. Oh, God. I forgot to bring this up. I bought this.
Bluey! Oh, is it
I
Looping
love that
Bluey?
game.
The Keep You Up.
Yeah, it's Lupin Bluey.
we have Lupin, the Lupin Chewy version, but yeah.
Man, it was after the last podcast we did. I was like, man, I really want to play Lupin Louie for some reason, and so I'm trying to find it, and it's not around, so it's like $50. I'm like, that's unreasonable. And Amazon's like, what about this? And I was like,
Bro, do you watch Bluey?
If you watch Bluey, it's awesome.
yeah, Blue's great.
Bluey's so good.
They so missed the opportunity to call that Looping Bluey. Like, everybody's going to
for
get
sure.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely more thematic the way they named it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it appeals to a wider audience for sure if you do Keep You Uppy.
But yeah, now you know who's really into board games. If you're like, hey, do you want to play this? And they're like, oh, Lupin Bluey? And you're like, no.
Yeah, Lupin
Yeah.
Bluey.
I cry like every other episode.
I remember one time I was watching it, and I was just tearing up. My girlfriend comes around the corner. She was like, are you crying? And I was like, this show's really sad sometimes.
Or it's like really beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Anywho, sorry, I just derailed everything. But,
So good.
Those muffin.
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
Kent's
Muffin's
Kent's
the worst
first
character in the
game
show.
here.
Oh, Muffin's the best. I love when she's like the mean granny.
That is my favorite episode ever.
Yeah, and she
That's like
tries
the
to
best
sell
episode.
that scooter. It ends
Oh,
up
yeah.
for like
Yeah.
$900 bucks.
Yeah, $900 bucks. Oh, it's so great.
So good. 900. Fine.
Join us next week for an episode breakdown of Bluey.
Synopsis.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
All right. So my game here for the Gen Con preview is Pirates of Maracaibo. So this is a kind of a spin-off game from Alexander Pfister, who made the original Maracaibo game. It's thematically in the same, the same kind of thing, but it's a completely different game. It's standalone. It's supposed to be a little bit easier to play, but it kind of takes some of the mechanisms of Maracaibo. I don't know exactly what mechanisms, but it's basically, I think it's like the pathing maybe, where you are kind of moving forward on a track and you can't go back. And you're kind of, in Maracaibo, you kind of go around, you sail around the ocean in a circle kind of. But anyway, I'm just curious about it. It's supposed to be, like I said, a lighter game, so that's kind of cool. And I like pretty much all Alexander Pfister's work. I think this game came out already overseas, but it was only in German, I believe. So I guess this is when it's finally getting its English release, because I think this almost came out maybe Essen last year, even before. But yeah, it's kind of cool. It just seems like a fun sail around and do all sorts of stuff in your ship, and probably get victory points. So that is Pirates of Maracaibo.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of like you're trying to collect resources, but then you're also trying to manipulate the market of those different resources to make sure that they're valuable enough. And
Yeah.
you're like burying certain ones to make them worth more money, but also you need them to get points. That's what
Okay. There's a little bit like that in Maracaibo, but not quite that. But that sounds kind of cool. It sounds more piratey for sure
Yeah.
if you're doing that, burying treasure and stuff.
Yeah, it seemed pretty cool while they were playing it. I mean, it's definitely very Euro.
Yeah.
but
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It was.
Oh, that's a given. But
They had a lot of fun with it, and Chris and Wendy, who love Euro games, like were all about this. So yeah, it's cool.
yeah. So that's the first one. The other one I had was the Invincible hero building game. So this is from Direwolf and Skybound. So I'm a fan of the Invincible show on Amazon. I haven't actually read any of the comics or graphic novels or whatever they had
so
for
brutal. It's so brutal.
But the show is really well done. It's way less brutal than The Boys, I think. But it's still pretty good. And it's interesting story, and this is supposed to be a pretty good co-op game. pretty much anything Direwolf puts out, I'm gonna at least look at, and it just seems fun. Like I definitely want to try it. I like just looking at the playing the different heroes, and it's a bag builder, which is always I like that. I love games with bag building. It's a very fun mechanism, and that's basically all I know about that game, but it looks great.
I think you like pull cubes out of a bag to activate different powers, and then there's different like spaces where there's bad guys piling up, and you're trying to make them not kill off the citizens that are there. So you're like having to like rescue the citizens and like fight off the bad guys. It feels kind of like Marvel Champions-ish, but with bag building and like triggering the same powers over and over, and kind of maybe like upgrading some of your powers as you go along. But yeah, I need to play this one too because I haven't played it. I just ran the stream, but yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, I think it maybe also has some similarities to maybe either like the Reckoners or to Marvel United.
I could see that. Yeah,
some of those aspects. Yeah. Which I enjoy those games too. So I definitely want to try this one out.
Rob, have you seen Invincible?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I liked the first season. I watched a couple of episodes of the second season. But I mean, I would finish it. But yeah, I don't think Invincible was kind of bad. I liked it. It was fun.
That's cool.
So a little crazy though when like spoiler alert, like the dad kills everybody.
That first episode is insane.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah. I watched it with Ruthie and she's like, oh yeah, this is just like a regular little superhero thing. I'm like,
not quite.
Just waiting for the moment.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of like cartoon or anime and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was a little hesitant to watch it, but yeah, it's good.
All right, Courtney's game.
So I was looking through and I was super excited when I saw this game. It's called Little Alchemist. I really like Alchemist, the original, but Kent hates it, so we don't play it ever again.
Oh no!
It was actually in the sell pile for Dice Tower, but luckily the guy didn't come up to pick it up. So I was like, okay, we'll just take this one back home with us.
It's a sign.
It's a sign, exactly. So, because I was like, I finally gave up on keeping it because I was like, well, I'm not going to relearn the rules for it, and Kent doesn't even want to play it. So, but I saw this and I was like, my son Steven really likes like logic puzzles and deduction and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, we can get this game and Kent can handle it maybe, and so we can play it with our.
Maybe you'll be smarter to play this one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just love deduction. Like I love logic puzzles and deduction games. So I'm really excited about this one. Yeah, it's just supposed to be a family version of Alchemist. So,
that's awesome.
So it's got an app, I think, too, and stuff like that. So you're just discovering potions and stuff. So excited about this one. And then the other one that I picked is a Disney-themed game. So it's Chronicles of Light. I just know it's a co-op game. I don't really know much about it, but it's got some cool characters. It's cool female characters on the front of the box. So
yeah, I'm interested in how this plays. I wonder.
So. Yeah, it's Disney and it's co-op, so I mean that's definitely I'm gonna at least try it. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but no, but I'm gonna at least try it. So.
Did they release any of the mechanics, or do they have pictures of the board or anything like that out
on this? Pictures of the board. They released pictures of the board. It looks really good.
And I think it came out retail maybe a week ago.
Oh wow, that's awesome!
I think it's already out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't realize it was already out.
I mean, I think it's launching at Gen Con too, but I think it just came out.
But yeah, so I want to try this one.
Oh, that's awesome.
You gotta let me know if it's good. I may have to pick it up for my girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it looks great.
But yeah, that is all of our games we're looking forward to for our little Gen Con preview there.
There's so much more, but yes.
There's tons. You talk about Gen Con games for days.
I was surprised, Kent, that you didn't pick Nova Roma.
Yeah, I'm not super interested in that one. Yeah,
really.
I heard some reviews about it, and I mean, it sounded okay. It's by the designer of Endless Winter, and I like his designs, but I'm not like over the moon about him. Like, I think I would play it for sure, but it didn't jump out at me.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, do you guys, Matt and Rob, do you have any tips for people going to Gen Con if they're going? I mean, besides the pizza place.
You definitely should go walking around in the middle of the night.
No,
Oh, meet tons of people.
safely.
You go, Matt.
I was just gonna say you'll meet tons of people, whether you want to or not.
No, be safe. Try to, try to have like a buddy system if you're going with people, so at least somebody knows where you're at, where you don't just go wandering off, and you might get stabbed giving people a hug. So try to do the buddy system. Wear comfortable shoes. You're going to be on your feet a lot because there's 70,000+ people. It's the largest board game convention in the United States, and so you're not going to find a lot of demos just available, and there's going to be people standing around to demo the game that you want to demo too. So make sure you wear comfortable shoes. Deodorant's good. Showers are good. Belt. Put on a belt. That's a plus. But just have fun and be ready just to move around a lot.
Wear a kilt.
Wear a kilt. And if you're going to do a backpack, try to do a small backpack because, again, they're cramming a lot of people into those areas. And so it's not fun. I mean, I'm 6'4". I'm a big guy, but it's not fun. We just get constantly hit with people's bags as they're trying to sneak through the hallway. But have a good time. Go to the Dice Tower booth. Give Spike here, a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, it'll be great. I love Gen Con. I want to go back.
It should be fun. We're going to have a few deluxe versions of Last Light at the Gray Fox booth, and then we're going to have some retail copies after we sell out of all the deluxe ones, or maybe you can buy both. I don't know how they're doing it. That's up for Gray Fox to decide. But then we're doing lots of Dice Tower stuff, and we're having the Dice Tower Awards, which I'm super excited because I am nominated for one of the Dice Tower Awards this year.
Nice.
Best New Designer or whatever. And fingers crossed, I think I got recommended by some people, so I'm hoping. We'll see. I'm up against some tough competition, though. I know like Distilled is in there and several other ones that are really good, so we shall see.
If you don't win, we're burning it down.
Burning it down.
That's another thing.
The Dice Tower or Gen Con?
No, Dice Tower. No, Gen Con.
I just decided I'd like to keep a job.
No, keep the job. If you're going to events, try to pre-schedule or get tickets because some of the events require tickets. And you may have to pay for some of those events and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And they fill up fast. I remember going to back in the old days to the Fantasy Flight Games events and stuff, and they would fill up crazy fast. So if you're going, look at the schedule, see what you want to do. You don't have to do anything because there's so much.
The crazy thing is I bet there'll be some stuff that's going to be announced there that we couldn't even talk about because it wasn't announced yet. That's going to be like crazy and awesome and hot, and maybe you'll even be able to buy it there,
Yeah, there's always some major awesome hit that just comes out.
Hey, Matt, is Uno's that one Chicago deep dish place? Is it Uno's or something? It's near the convention.
He muted himself.
He did.
Come back to us.
I think if you like Chicago deep dish, Matt and I like things pizza, and if you like a casserole that's on a pizza crust, you go to this like Chicago place.
Listen,
I just realized I've been muted.
I've been doing keto, and I want to break keto as hard as I possibly can by eating like super pizza. Actually, pizza. I mean, the bread is not keto, but I could eat the cheese part. But I'm breaking it, so give me all the bread.
Yeah. I did find the pizza place that we went to for the cheesesteaks.
Ooh, is it still open?
It's called Pearl Street Pizzeria and Pub.
Pearl Street.
You got to get their cheese habanero cheesesteaks.
I'll text you the address, right?
Yeah. Is it far from the convention center, or is it like?
It's a couple blocks.
Well, that's not bad. Yeah. I mean, I've walked like a bajillion blocks there before.
I feel like it was like maybe somewhere between 5 and 8 blocks away. Like it wasn't too far, but it was
8 is a decent amount. 5 I could probably.
It was definitely like far enough away that I was just like, oh, this is a little jaunty walk, but it wasn't like terrible.
I've done it before, so.
If you have a cold, you don't feel very well, you need to go to St. Elmo's, and you need to order their shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, it's super good.
Just get a little bit, because man, the first time that hits your face,
it's intense. It's intense
that
for
it
sure.
does your body. Also, if you see Tom Vassell walking around in this restaurant, it's a nice, decently high-end restaurant. Don't yell at him like I did.
I think you should.
Don't yell at Tom. He had his daughter, and I was just like, hey! So unprofessional. Like, that's Tom. And he's like, yeah, I know who I am. And then he just kept walking. Don't do that. But St. Elmo's, it's a pretty good steak. I mean, it's famous. It was also in Parks and Rec in some of those episodes. But they have a great shrimp cocktail, and it will clear out your sinuses.
It's intense.
Just be warned. It's very.
I've never had horseradish that's like that intense. That's the only place I've had like something that's like that intense. It's crazy.
It's good though.
For
I
sure.
want to go to Gen Con just for the food.
Right.
Well, come on, man. I said I got a room for you. Where you at?
I just got back from Scotland and Ireland. I'm not doing nothing. I'm playing Zombicide, the first edition. That's how poor I am. I'm so poor right now. I had to go back to the very first edition.
You can
Can't even afford to play
you
the
can
newest
work
edition.
remotely during the night. No, I'm just kidding. Walk around the hall a little bit. Go back to the room. No. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and
great
hopefully,
show.
hopefully you guys are able to play some of these Gen Con games soon. I'm gonna be in the midst of the chaos, not as chaotic as the first
When
few
is
years
it?
we went. It's next week.
Oh, dang.
I'm flying out on Tuesday, flying back on Sunday. I'm actually flying back early this time, but yeah, it's gonna be all over the place.
That's right. Yeah.
Should be fun.
Guys, be safe. Have fun. Have a great time. Roy, safe travels. And yeah.
Super excited. Alrighty. Well, I guess this is the end of the show. So thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you all on the next one.
Catch
Peace.
you on the flippity flip.
Flippity flip.